afternoon. Imagine, if you will, you're taking your son or daughter to the Henry Dorley Zoo for the first time. The child is really excited to see the different animals and exhibits. As you walk around, you notice that one exhibit is closed, the penguin exhibit. You wonder how this happened. How could there not be penguins at a zoo? A sign informs you that due to penguins being extinct, they are no longer able to be viewed. Most of you will think that a far-fetched vision, but most of you would be wrong. Research in several credible sources have concluded that penguin populations are at risk of being extinct if current conditions continue uninterrupted. Penguin populations have been declining for decades, and it's not getting any better. The effects of oil spills, decreasing food populations, and global warming are the major contributors to their decline. Before another penguin dies, let's find out how oil spills have a huge impact on penguin populations. Oil spills contribute heavily to the decrease in penguin populations. Their effects are far-reaching and devastating. Most of you have heard news stories about animals needing rescue when an oil spill occurs off the shore of some island or country. What you might not know is that cleaning them doesn't ensure that they will survive. According to an article written in the African Journal of Marine Science in 2008, after the Treasure oil spill in 2000, 19,000 birds were oiled and 19,500 unoiled birds were evacuated to a location 800 kilometers away. The spill resulted in the death of 2,000 African penguins, but the number would have been larger had efforts not been taken to evacuate birds before the oil reached them. The effects of oil-contaminated penguins can include decreased egg production, embryonic deformities, decreased lifespan, just to name a few. Baby penguins, or chicks, that are hand-reared after a spill show a remarkable ability to fare as well, if not better, than normal chicks. It is efforts like this by conservation groups like the South African Foundation for the Conservation of Coastal Birds, or SANCCOP, that should increase global efforts to be prepared if tragedy strikes. An additional note, sometimes there doesn't have to be an accident for an oil damage to be done. Magellanic penguins are killed due to normal operations of large oil tankers. They have to be full of water after they deliver their cargo and when they reach their next fill-up. They dump that water, which is contaminated with the oil residue that mixed with the water, directly into the ocean. Oil spills are catastrophic to penguin populations, but so are the decreasing food populations available to penguins. Without food to eat, how are the penguins going to survive? Decreasing food populations pose a serious risk to penguins, and they are caused by a number of factors. Commercial fishing is a leading contributor to the decrease in penguin food supply. In some instances, the fishermen take the food quite literally out of the penguin's beak. Krill are a major source of food for some penguins. After the massacre of seals in the 19th century for furs and killing of whales in the 20th century, the krill population grew exponentially and provided penguins with abundant food supply. Times have changed and the krill population is down as much as 80%. Obviously a decline that has affected penguin populations. In an article in Science News, author Daniel Strain concludes that food populations throughout the West Antarctic Peninsula are declining. Not only are the krill down 80%, but as a biological oceanographer at Rutgers University, Oscar Schofield's research shows that the populations of organisms called phytoplankton are down as well. Krill eat phytoplankton, and as each rung on the food chain gets decreased, so does each subsequent rung. With oil spills happening all around them, food supplies low, what else could be going wrong for the penguins around the world? Enter global warming, something that is affecting penguins, and they might be our best hope at fighting it. Penguin populations all around the southern hemisphere are seeing the effects of global warming, and it's not just with the polar ice caps melting. At one time, oil pollution was thought to be the leading contributor to penguin decline, including those large oil tankers dumping that contaminated water into the sea that I mentioned earlier. Dee Boersma, a prominent conservation biologist at the University of Washington, used to believe so too, but not any longer. Having studied a colony of Magellanic penguins off the Argentina coast for 25 years, she now sees global warming as a serious threat, and we should do well by listening to what they have to say as global sentinels. According to Australian scientists, the ice pack that covers the Antarctic has shrunk 20% the past 50 years because of global warming. Scientists all agree that when ice melts, it means that organisms from as small as the phytoplankton to krill and penguins are affected. It has profound implications for the Southern Ocean food web. according to Angus Actison of the British Antarctic Survey. Penguins have to travel farther to their mating areas due to the melting ice, and it causes death or loss of their breeding window. Humboldt penguins have seen their numbers dwindle from 1 million a few decades ago to 12,000. Penguin populations will continue to decline due to oil pollution, food supply shortages, and global warming. Oil pollution has gotten better thanks to the efforts of conservation workers relocating penguins before the oil reaches them. Declining food populations and global warming seem to be interrelated, with global warming having a direct impact on species that the penguins use as food. Humans have not done penguins too many favors with their greenhouse gases, commercial fishing efforts, and oil dependency. If you're like me and want to see penguins around for the foreseeable future, we can all do our part to contribute to their survival. We need to address the issue of global warming. It isn't something we can brush under the rug and let other generations deal with. The problem are happening right now, evidenced by the effects it is having on our fine feathered friends. We must, at all costs, lower our greenhouse gas contributions because right now it's affecting the penguin. Who knows what it will affect next? Our dependency on oil needs to be lowered with alternative energy sources like wind, solar, and nuclear. Lastly, contribute to organizations that assist animals in the event of oil spills. We've learned that mortality and reproductive rates are higher when humans lend their support to these defenseless creatures. I couldn't ask you to jump on a plane the next time an oil spill occurs, but I can ask that you provide financial assistance to organizations like SANCOB, Natural Resource Defense Council, and the World Wildlife Fund. These organizations are leaders in providing the help these animals need to survive. Thank you for your time, and remember to visit your local zoo and see the penguins while you still can.